G'day, Ben from Melbourne here, and today I'm going to talk about some of my favourite Australian music from the 2000s, that period from 2000 to 2009, where there was still a really vibrant, strong indie scene going on in Australia. Of course, CDs were still the main staple, because we were still a few years away from the vinyl boom that was about to happen. So I got a few reissues alongside CDs. Great to see a lot of this stuff getting reissued too. So yeah, let's just start with the great Melbourne band Jersey. This album, Hope Springs, came out in 2000. This is the reissue on Cheer Squad Records. I have the CD, which was originally on Trifecta Records. They made a really nice package, this. These guys are had that ethereal indie rock sound with a more chiming guitar sound instead of the more edgy end of indie rock. But, you know, great songs, really timeless sound. Ironically, when I listen to it, it does put me right back in those days, but you know, hard to believe it's already 20 years ago or 22 years ago that this came out. Cheer Squad put it together, really nice package for this. Nice coloured green vinyl here, the labels. We're quite often going to see Jersey play their own smaller shows, and they were a great support band for a lot of the international indie rock bands come out playing in Richmond's Corner Hotel. And then yeah, after being around for quite a while, they got the support slot on Pavement's 2010 tour of Australia and struck up a friendship with Spiral Stairs, and yeah, saw them collaborate with him and be his backing band on several occasions. Really good stuff, Jersey. Great record, Hope Springs. Next one up, we're going to talk about the Sand Pebbles, another Melbourne band. This album called Ghost Transmissions. CD again, originally on Rail Records. The reissued album, I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. The record label is spelled Ksumuen. Yeah, this is chock full of propulsive indie rock, really guitar-driven, three guitarists. Yeah, got a slight psychedelic tinge to it as well. There's two or three just smoking, I don't know what you would say, epic snake charmers, I suppose is a word. But these guys were great live as well. Saw them quite a few times. Saw a great triple bill with these guys, the Sun Blindness and Black Cab at St Kilda Esplanade Hotel in the Gershwin Room. Yeah, struggled to put my tiny little mind back together after that show. That was a heavy evening of psychedelic indie rock. Fantastic band, the Sand Pebbles. Haven't put an album out for a little while now. I think the most recent one came out a number of years ago. I think there's a flyer inside this for a show. Yeah, there we go. That's probably the last time I saw them play. And this is November, December of what year? Who knows? Anyway, they were good. Alright, speaking of Black Cab, this is their debut record from 2004 called Altamont Diary. CD as well. Both on Interstate 40 Music. This is obviously, if you look at the pictures and the name, this is a concept record which is based on the Altamont ill-fated concert organised by the Rolling Stones. Happened in 1969 in California, Altamont Speedway. Features dialogue from the movie throughout. Yeah, the songs, if this will give you an idea, is Summer of Love, The Angels Arrive, Jerry Says, Good Drugs, great cover of Grateful Dead's New Speedway Boogie. Nice reissue package too. The vinyl's a really nice colour. That sort of grey white thing going on there. Done a really good job. This was when Andrew Coates and James Lee were more of a full band. They had drummer, another second guitarist, bass player. Were really fantastic live. Turned into another thing now, but equally as good. It's mainly just those two, and it's more an electronic thing, but more song-based stuff. I can't recommend these guys enough. I go see them whenever I get a chance. Really good live act, and yeah, all their stuff, whether it's the full band albums or more electronic things, really, really fantastic. All right, next up, we've got the Bird Blobs on Unstable 8 or Art School Dropout Records. Why is Ben showing having a CD and a record? Well, why am I talking to him in the third person? That's two questions I can't answer. These guys been interesting to me because singer-vocalist Tim Evans is someone I have took an interest in back in the 90s when he played in a punk rock band called Mouth. He was the lead vocalist and guitarist, and I really loved them. And then he went on to form a band called Sea Scouts, which I really liked, but for me, there's just that missing element. It just didn't have the rhythm section that matched what he was trying to do, it felt like at the time. And then he put together Bird Blobs with Ian Wadley, and the missing piece was drummer Steve Masterson, who you may know or may not know. I've talked about before the band he went on to join called New War. Fantastic band. Yeah, like, this is very much that art punk kind of thing, informed by Birthday Party, those kind of bands, with but just real tangled, knotty, chaotic stuff, but strong, precise rhythm section which like cuts through the chaos, I suppose. But by no means is this like a 4 on the floor rhythm section. These guys have that amazing ability to play in unusual times and make you think that you can tap your foot along to it until you actually try and find the one. But yeah, and Tim Evans' vocals are like howling wolf through sucking on a heap of helium, and yeah, it's pretty nuts, pretty wild stuff, but I love this record. It's fantastic, and it has a special place to me too, because a friend of mine who I played in a band with, although we didn't perform on the album, he played live with the Bird Blobs on bass, and when Tim Evans came back from New York, which is where he's been living for quite a while, they reformed probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I went to all 3 shows in Melbourne, and it was just great to see my friend, Nigel King, by the way, is his name, to see him up there with them and just smashing it to pieces. They were fantastic, and they went up the East Coast and yeah, sold out shows apparently all along. And yeah, Tim Evans moved back to New York, and that was that. All right. Now, as usual in Melbourne, there's always a new punk scene brewing. And probably the best of the bunch at the time were, of course, Eddie Current's Suppression Ring. It's their like self-titled album. Yeah, There's almost like holding up two Spinal Tap albums. There's not much going on there. Yeah, like, apparently all of them worked at Corduroy Records, which is an indie label in Melbourne over here. Nice back cover photo. And they were named, I got to read this because this is ridiculous, after the copper ring around the transformer which subdues eddy currents. I know. At the pressing plant that they worked. So, but of course, most importantly, this features the great Mikey Young on guitar, which was, eddy current was the first time I heard him playing and just blew me away. This is like, you know, lo-fi, raw, in the rooms, live stuff that just kicks you in the guts. Like, no fat or filler on this at all. Mikey Young, of course, went on to form a million great bands such as Total Control and the Ogre Boogers. Great champion of local Australian music and the go-to guy with mastering and production over here. These guys were amazing live, probably one of the best in the 2000s. Like, you see Brendan, the lead singer, who for some reason always wore gloves, mixing it up in the crowd, getting in their face. Fantastic stuff. These guys deserve to be named with all the other great Australian punk rock bands that started with the Saints. Eddy Current, Suppression Ring debut album. Get all three of the first ones and even get the fourth one, which was released when they got back together for what I'm guessing was just a one-off tour and album a few years back. All right. UV Race. Oh, have I got this back to front? Sorry. 2009, Art Records. What do you know? Mastered by Mikey Young. This is, yeah, kind of chaotic, raw punk rock. Really great record. That Ramones clever, dumb lyricism, which I love. Members of this band have gone on to playing like Total Control, Terry, Dick Diver, and probably a few new ones which are rehearsing right now that I don't know who they are. But great stuff. Yeah, they can be perplexing live. The lead singer is kind of a portly young man, I suppose, but has no body shame, that's for sure. He loves getting his clothes off. He claims usually that it's just too hot, but I don't know. Yeah, great band. This is their first record and probably their best self-titled record, UV Race. All right, just because we can't get enough of Mikey Young, the Ogre Boogers with their first record, Romance and Adventure, from 2008, again on Art Records. Great package, has that artwork and the freaky picture in the middle. On a great pink vinyl. You know, I don't know, what do you say about Ogre Boogers? I've already talked about them before. That great blown out, fuzzed out guitar sound. I quite like what they've got. I think it's on their Bandcamp page. I'll just read that. The Ogre Boogers began life in 2006 as a part-time collaboration between three gents who played in other famous bands. Two of them, Eddy Current, Suppression Ring, and the Onyas, are famous in Australia. But the most famous of all was the Swedish drummer's teenage band Cloudberry Jam, who sold hundreds of thousands of CDs in Japan. Naturally, this doesn't count because A, they were all CDs, and B, they were all sold to teenage Japanese girls. After a few fruitful months of jamming in various artistic warehouses, this unnamed trio invited a guitarist from another famous, in Australia, band, the Sailors, to join in. The new lineup gelled very quickly, some great songs were written, some good times were had, and they named themselves the Ogre Boogers, and I can't put it better than that. Okay, next up, something quite different from the Ogre Boogers, My Disco, with their debut album Cancer. This guy's had released a few EPs before this. Oh, sorry, this is on Numerical Thief Records and come out in 2006. They were more of a math rock kind of thing when they started, but this sort of marked a change in direction where they went further in that direction of real minimalism. Yeah, real dissonant guitar riffs, half spoken, half yelled, vocals which would come in for a few seconds and then wouldn't occur for minutes later. They would often just settle into like a repetitive groove and then yeah, do that lockstep turn on a, you know, dime, I guess is the American way of saying it. But yeah, amazing, tight, angular, like kind of almost danceable, but like really technical style drumming. It's, yeah, weirdly catchy in a way. I remember seeing these guys play live several times in the early 2000s in small places, and I just couldn't believe like the patience that they had and to use that much space and not scared of being silent for long amounts of time and then suddenly erupting and then stopping and starting. And yeah, amazing original band. My Disco still playing. Released another great record a couple of years ago. Yeah, really not arty, more experimental, minimalistic stuff, heavy on the bass, which I love as well. I'm a drummer, so I love great basses and good rhythm sections. Okay, next we've got the Dacios with Monkey's Blood. Now this is a different kettle of fish, 2009 release on Solar Sonar Records. This is the Homeless Records reissue. This is very much a rock and roll, you know, that classic Australian rock and roll record with that healthy dose of punk rock snot in there. Really, really good stuff. Two of the members were formerly in the Little Ugly Girls. Nice blue vinyl. That's really, really nice. Homeless always do a great job of their releases, whether they be reissues or not. It's got, yeah, super scuzzy sounding guitar riffs, clever searing vocals and vocal delivery. Great live band, great live shot of them as well. Yeah, they this is like probably a near modern Australian rock and roll classic as far as rock and roll records go. Yeah, the Dacios, Monkey's Blood. Still kicking, I believe. Had a record come out a couple of years ago. Now for a completely different tact. Get ready for this cover. Hold on to your hats. Whoa, that's a back and a half. Fabulous Diamonds. Totally different deal we're talking about now to the last few bands. 2008 self-titled album on Nervous Jerk, Silt Breeze. Yeah, hypnotic, experimental. They utilize kind of like keys, synths, drums, minimal sax, minimal vocals. Yeah, to achieve this kind of textured sound. Like, used repetition quite a bit, but it's got like more of an edge and sort of this undercurrent of friction in there, which keeps things propelling along through like the kind of drone experimental sound. Like, quite an original band, really great stuff. Like, it's not really songs, it's more like about, I think, 3 or 4 pieces on each side. Heavy live, like not heavy like heavy metal, but like heavy man heavy stuff. Yeah, Fabulous Diamonds. Released 3 or 4 records after this one. All really good stuff. And lastly, just as an extra bonus, we're getting back into the punk rock style stuff. Digger and the Pussycats with DIY from 2009 on P Trash. This is garage punk rock with quite catchy dual vocals, like, yeah, jagged guitar riffs as you'd expect, whole lot of racket, but a whole lot of fun as well. You know, funny, even though the songs are about midlife crisis, drug and alcohol problems, divorce, poverty, and then, of course, the prejudice bestowed upon you if you're a ranger, which, of course, I don't know if that translates overseas. It's people born with red hair, or a resource head, as we like to call them. Great band. Make a hell of a lot of noise for two people. Really good fun live. Hilarious banter in between the songs. Here we go. Cool. Have I got that up the right way? I always hold things wrong. So that's the extra bonus one. I might have to do a few more for the 2000s, plus a few CDs I got, which as of yet haven't appeared as reissues on vinyl. So that's me, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.